Wyatt. I'm back for the week of May 4th through May 8th. We're going to cover some things that you're going to be doing all week long, in addition to focusing on just the beginning of the week, May 4th and May 5th. Hope everyone had a restful weekend and is ready to get back to work this week. Okay, so let's get started with May 4th. You are to review the vocabulary on pages 10 through 11 for a Mr. Rubbish Mood from Judy Moody Saves the World. You are to read pages 15 through 21, then answer the daily reading question on the learning packet, and complete an activity from the choice board for the story. After that, you're going to read independently for 20 minutes and complete your reading log. For May 5th, you're going to read the second section of the story from A Mr. Rubbish Mood from Judy Moody Saves the World, pages 22 through 28. You're going to answer the daily reading question on the learning packet, complete an activity from the choice board for the story, and then once again read independently for 20 minutes and complete the reading log. Boys and girls, I'm going to go through your new packet a little bit since they changed it up, and it's just a little bit different than what you've done in the previous weeks. We still have some comprehension questions to answer, but what's new is the choice board for the stories, which I think you'll like. It kind of mixes it up. It's a little bit fun because you get to choose your activities. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with that. Okay, let's look at the choice board. So this is your choice board for this week for this story from Judy Moody. I wanted to point out that in the directions, it says the student may select any activity to complete from the choice board below. Parents can put a check mark or initial each block that is completed. So as each one is completed, put a little check mark there, boys and girls, and get your parents to initial. Make sure that whenever you complete your activity, that on your sheet of paper, you actually write the heading or the title at the top of the page before completing your choice board activity. Make sure that you put the date and the option chosen from the choice board. So boys and girls, whenever you are, or before you complete your option, your activity, make sure you write your name, the date, and then which option you're completing. So for example, here they wrote option number 3. So if you were to actually choose option 3, you would write that at the top of your paper so that whenever Ms. Clyatt's actually looking through your packet, I'll know which activity you completed. Remember that a minimum of 5 activities needs to be completed this week, 1 for each day. But the student is welcome to complete more. So boys and girls, if you want to complete more than 5, then that's wonderful. But you only have to complete 5. Notice that it does say here that this work has to be submitted with your distance learning material. So you'll want to keep it organized and keep it together. Make sure your name, date, and option is at the top of each sheet of paper as you complete each activity. The work can be completed on copy paper or notebook paper. And I believe that notebook paper was put in your packets this time, but if you don't have any notebook paper, you could also use copy paper. Okay, lots of different choices here. Option 1, create a poster advertising the story. Make sure you show others what the book is all about. And of course, if you did this, you would need to include something about the characters, the setting, what happens in the story, maybe the conflict or solution, enough to get your readers interested in the story and telling them a little bit about the story. Option 2, write down your favorite part of the story, then draw and illustrate it. Option 3, imagine that you are Judy's friend. What advice would you give her about her plans to protect the environment? Write your ideas in a friendly letter. And this would be great because you guys have had quite a bit of practice now with writing friendly letters. Option 4, Judy's mood changes through the whole story. Create a flow map showing how her mood changes throughout the story or how her mood changed. So this would basically be you describing how her mood is at the beginning, in the middle, and then by the end of the story. While reading, did you come across some new cool words? Think about words that maybe you would like to use in your writing in the future. Write down those words and what you think they mean. Option 6, name 3 character traits of Judy and use evidence, meaning illustrations and author's words to support the traits you chose. Option 7, write down what happens in the story using sequence words such as first, second, and third. Option 8, on pages 24 through 27, compare and contrast Judy's ideas about recycling to her family's ideas about recycling. So think about, how does Judy feel about it versus how does her family feel about it? Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of those, but this just kind of gives you ideas of some of the things that you can do. Remember, you only have to complete 5 for the week. Okay, and let's go back to the story. Okay, I'm just going to read your vocabulary for you. Recycle, project, dripping, carton, complicated, pollution, rubbish, hardly, shade, and global. Boys and girls, this is on pages 10 through 11 in your book, so make sure you read the vocabulary cards and think about what these words mean. I feel like a lot of these are words that you should be very familiar with, and words that we've already encountered in science, like pollution. Let's see. Let me go back to the first page. Recycle. Even in the story, they use the word reuse. They refer to the 3 R's. That's something that we had already discussed in science with whenever we learned about our natural resources and protecting our natural resources. Project, carton, dripping. A lot of these I feel like are probably going to be pretty easy for you. Okay. And I don't believe it tells you to do this, boys and girls, but hopefully by now you're in a good habit of reading that introduction page before the story that tells you what type of genre it is, and the Meet the Author. The Meet the Author page is very helpful because it gives you some background before you start reading the story. It kind of gives you an idea of why the author has chosen to write this type of a story or what got them interested in writing stories, which can also help you with understanding the characters and the plot of the story. I'm going to go ahead and read this. Load that up just a little bit. Once while Megan McDonald was visiting a school, some students asked her, "Are you ever in a bad mood?" This got her thinking about creating a character with lots of different moods. Judy Moody was born. Many of Judy Moody's adventures actually happened to McDonald when she was a child. Boys and girls, we know that a lot of authors choose characters sometimes that are similar to them, or they tell stories that are similar to actual things that happened to them whenever they were younger. So this just kind of helps us to understand a little bit more about the character of Judy Moody. I don't know if any of you have ever read any of her books, but this is a great series of books. So her last name actually reflects who she is. She's a character that has lots of different moods. Very interesting character and can also be very hilarious. Down here at the bottom left corner, it reminds you or tells you that this is humorous fiction. So we know that this did not really happen. Now, a lot of this actually could happen in real life. So it is somewhat realistic, but it's not, obviously, it did not really happen. I really like here how they wrote that this is humorous fiction because it is very humorous. Humorous means it's funny, it's comical. Humorous fiction is a story written to entertain readers. So we know right away, boys and girls, what the author's purpose is here, to entertain readers. I hope you're listening because this is going to be one of the questions that you have this week about author's purpose. Written to entertain. Who was the narrator in the story? So think about who's telling the story. How would the story change if it were told from a different point of view? Every time we read a story and we think about who's telling it, we always discuss in class how it would be different if somebody else were telling the story. So we know that depending on the point of view, who's telling it really plays a big part in what we learn in the story and how we see what's happening. Because, of course, different characters see things different ways. Okay, so our title here, A Mr. Rubbish Mood from Judy Moody Saves the World. Boys and girls, this is an actual book, Judy Moody Saves the World. A Mr. Rubbish Mood is just one chapter of this book. So I would encourage you, if you like this story, to actually try to find the book, Judy Moody Saves the World. And it's probably in our school library, which I know that no one has access to the library right now. But maybe as the Aiken County Library opens up in the summertime, or even in the fall, this might be a book that you're interested in checking out.